Money is a tool. Financial literacy is a skill you can learn. My name is Dave Gallegos. I've spent the last 25 years in the mortgage industry with a front row seat to American financial habits. And what I have to offer is so much more than about mortgages. So join me for a journey into financial literacy, brought to you by me and Zenith Home Loans. I'm your host, Dave Gallegos. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of More Than Mortgages. I'm your host, Dave Gallegos. I am the owner and president of a mortgage company that's called Zenith Home Loans. This is a podcast that's designed to educate consumers on all things related to their finances, with definitely an emphasis on becoming a homeowner. I'm a huge advocate of owning a home. I think it is the great equalizer of wealth in our country, and one of the most impactful things a United States citizen can do, even a non-US citizen can do, to eliminate and fill that wealth gap that exists in our country. The average net worth of a homeowner in America is 40 times greater than the average net worth of a renter. There is a direct correlation there. So I'm a big advocate of that. But I also know that in order to get there, you shouldn't want to buy a house no matter what. Like, you really need to be in a great position financially, both with your credit and your finances and your financial literacy. That all needs to be a part of it. And so that's really the focus of our podcast, of this podcast. We are on episode number 17. So we're getting close to that magic number 20, which is where most podcasts never make it. I'm committed to doing this because I just think that there's such a huge need in our country for financial literacy and financial knowledge and all things related to that. So your credit is right up there, which is going to be the subject of today's podcast. On the last episode, I talked about the importance of buying a home and that you actually can buy a home, right? It's not that complicated. A lot of people think it's a big mystery. We talked about what the three things are that lenders look at most when it comes to whether or not they're going to loan you the money to buy a home. So we're going to want to know, can you make the mortgage payment? Will you make the mortgage payment? And do you have enough money to close on the transaction? Those are the three big things. And a big part of your ability to do all of those things is the subject of today's podcast, which is what it really comes down to is, in this country, actually, not just in this country, in every country, having excellent credit is everything. About having excellent credit just makes your life that much simpler. So Mark Cuban has a great quote. He said, "In the world of finance, good credit is your most valuable asset." I can tell you that in the world of home buying, good credit is your most important asset. Everything that you get, everything about getting yourself a mortgage is going to be less expensive because you have excellent credit. When you have excellent credit, it's not just buying a home, it's getting a car, it's getting a loan, it's getting any kind of a loan, it's getting insurance, it's being able to rent a home. It's actually even ties to your ability to get a job. I mean, companies do credit and background checks on you for a reason. Excellent credit is a reflection of your character and the level of personal responsibility that you have. Now, I'm not saying that you have bad character if you have bad credit, or you don't have personal responsibility if you have bad credit, because bad things happen to good people. I have been extremely honest with people on this podcast in that I've had a couple of different times in my life where I've had really, really poor credit. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating. I know exactly what it feels like. Fortunately, I'm a reader. And as a reader, I'm somebody who, studied to figure out what are all the things that I have to be able to do to be able to have an excellent credit score. And what I can tell you from my personal experience is it really isn't that difficult to have an excellent credit score. It just takes concerted effort on your part, and it takes desire and a willingness to do the work necessary to achieve that score. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. The title of this one is that you should have perfect credit. And maybe that's something that I never really thought about that before I got in this business. But the fact of the matter is that you should have perfect credit. Everything about your life will be easier when you do. Everything's going to cost less. The part about how are you going to get there? That's what today's episode is like. How are you going to have perfect credit? It's really not that hard. I used to tell my customers when I was still a producing loan officer, I used to tell my customers that everybody is no more than pretty much no more than 12 months away from getting a mortgage. If you have bad credit, you're 12 months away from being able to get a mortgage, and it may not even take that long. In some situations, for somebody who's been through a really rough time and they've had to go through a bankruptcy, and we can touch on bankruptcy, but you're 24 months away from being able to get a mortgage if you've had to go through a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. I always recommend 7s over 13s. And I'll tell you why at some point. But so what do you do though if you have those blemishes on your credit? What do you do if you've made mistakes? And so this episode is going to be about how to fix those things that maybe don't look that good. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, because what the lender looks at is, do you pay your bills on time? That's the first thing. That's, will you pay the mortgage? If we loan you hundreds of thousands of dollars, are you going to make those payments, and are you going to make them on time, or are we going to have to spend a lot of money trying to run you down to collect it? And that's your credit history. So paying your bills on time shows the lender that that's who you are and that's what you do, as long as you're doing that on a regular basis. But if you have some blemishes on your credit, and I've seen people who struggle with this concept, I know it's really simple, because again, I've been there. The first thing to do if you want to have excellent credit, okay, so just remember this. The first thing that you do if you want to have excellent credit is never pay anything late again. Now that sounds like it's pretty obvious, but you'd be surprised how often that becomes a discussion that we're having with clients, because they don't realize the importance of paying all their bills on time every single month consistently without fail. So when I'm looking at someone's credit report, if they've had a 30-day late payment in the last 30 days, it is a significant drop in your credit score. It'll go from, if you had a perfect credit score, if you were in the high 7s, low 800s with your credit score, you'd see a 40 or 50 point drop with one late payment. You have 2 late payments on 2 different accounts, or 2 late payments in a row, you go from 30 to 60 days late. Well, now you're talking about over 100 points in a drop in your credit scoring. And so the first thing is that you got to pay all your bills on time. You can never pay anything late ever again, ever. And it really is simple to do this. And what I have found is that for most people, it's easy to borrow the money, right? It's easy to get credit. It's easy to get a credit card. It's criminal what we do in this country, how easy it is to get credit. Like when somebody, when it should be a crime, it should be against the law that credit card companies who are all they're trying to, they're a capitalist. We live in a capitalist society. I've covered this before, and capitalism is designed to figure out ways to get us to spend as much money as possible. So when they set up at college campuses for the incoming freshmen to get their own credit cards, that should be against the law, because that's just terrible. That's a terrible thing to introduce into an 18-year-old's world, is to, here's a credit card. You make sure you pay those payments on time, without educating them as to what's happening. And I think they do it because they know eventually the parent is going to be the one making the payment, is going to, pay the debt off for the kid. But people don't intentionally, my experience is people never intentionally just pay their bills late, right? But and sometimes it is just forgetfulness, or it's like, well, I don't have all the money right now, I'll pay it next week. And then they forget and it slips their mind. But in the adult world, we have to take responsibility for ourselves. And that's something that you need to hear that maybe no one ever told you if you're somebody who struggles with this. So in the adult world, you have to take responsibility and do whatever is necessary to make sure that never happens again. Okay. And all you have to do to make sure that this happens, this is so simple to do. And I didn't discover it right away, but once I figured it out, it's like, okay, well, this is dumb, is that you can set up almost, especially today. I mean, this was 20 years ago. This was a little more challenging, but everybody banks online, and all of our accounts are accessible online, unless you're doing some really buy here, pay here, strange, financing programs where, there isn't any electronic record keeping going on, that you can set up to make sure that the minimum payment gets made when it's due, no matter what, every single month, right? So when it comes to a credit card, if you ring up a $2,000 or $3,000 balance on your credit card, you don't have to make the $2,000 or $3,000 payment. You have to make the minimum monthly payment in order for your bill, and for it to reflect that you're paying your monthly payments on time. Now, I'm not advocating carrying balances on credit cards. That's another discussion. What I'm advocating is you cannot pay that minimum monthly payment late, because that's the credit score hit that you're going to take if you do that. So So it's easy enough to set it up to where when you get a new credit card account, as an example, or if you have a credit card account now, is to make sure you log in on their website and set it up to where the minimum monthly payment when it's due gets paid whenever it's due. You don't have to pay more. You can always go in there and, pay off your credit card, which is something else that we advocate. What we're focusing on right now is you not making any payments late. So that's the first thing. You can do the same thing with a car loan at a bank. You can have it set up to where the car payment is drafted out of your checking account every month when it's due. You do not want to see a car late payment. It's just as bad as a credit card payment. Same things with your mortgages. If you're already somebody who has a mortgage and you struggle with your credit and you're not going to be able to get a better rate with these better interest rates coming our way here. And then I'm recording this in early August of 2024, and we're going to start to see rates turn. Rates have started to turn, so they're going to continue to decline. So you want to be able to take advantage of that. Your mortgage payment is something that should be set up to be paid automatically sometime between the 1st and the 15th of every month, so that you don't want to just pay the stupid tax and have the late, pay the late penalty fee, which is 5% of the monthly payment if you pay after the 15th. So that's a stupid tax that you pay. It's a Dave Ramsey term, but it's a great term. You can set that up automatically. This is a simple step, people, that you can employ to make sure that your monthly payments are always paid on time. And that's the first thing that we look at as lenders. That's the first thing a mortgage lender is going to look at is, do you make your payments on time every single month when they're due? Because that's the answers the question, will you pay? It's a very simple thing to have in place. And if you haven't had the history of that, you need to start creating that history right now, right? So the best time to have perfect credit was the last 20 years. The next time to have perfect credit is starting today, right? That philosophy applies in so many areas in our life. The best time to have gone on a diet was, a nutrition and health plan was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. There's so many things in your life that you could say that about. So that's the first thing. The second thing is how you use your credit. So you can't, if you're maxed out on all your credit cards and all of your bills, then it looks pretty bad to us as lenders. As lenders look at that and say, and you're going to have a lower credit score because of it. In other words, if you have a $5,000 credit card limit on your credit card and your balance is $5,000, you're using 100% of the available credit. That's going to hit your credit score more than if it was under 2,500 or under 1,500, right? So that's a function of you. Now, I'm not advocating go get more credit cards and spread the balances around. You have a bigger problem, which is you're spending money that you don't have, which is why you have a $5,000 if you've maxed out a credit card and you can't pay it off. Using 100% of your credit makes you look a little irresponsible to lenders, and it's something that they don't like. So you just need to take whatever action that you have to take to reduce those balances and get them under 30% of those balances. So we've just hit on a couple of really simple things that will make all the difference for you on your path to wanting to become a homeowner. And I know it seems simple, but when we, and it seems like there should be something more to it, but when the name of this podcast, this episode is You Should Have Perfect Credit. And what you have to do to have perfect credit is really simple. You pay all your bills on time every single month, no matter what. And then I gave you 2 strategies for making sure that you have perfect credit. Number 1 is set up all your bills to be paid automatically when they're due, the minimum monthly payment at least. As we can talk further about, your credit cards and how if you are carrying a maximum balance, you need to do whatever you have to do to get those credit card balances down, because it's irresponsible for us to get you into a mortgage when you're having trouble paying off your credit cards. If you're in that position, and then being able to take advantage of a very low down, payment program is probably not a good financial literacy move on your part. It's not success for us to get you into a house and we get paid to help you get into a house and we're on our way. That's not success for us. Success for us is you becoming a successful homeowner and you becoming a wealthy homeowner that secures their financial stability and prosperity for their entire future. And that's our goal as lenders. So we take that approach with you. That's the focus that we want to have. So next episode, we're going to talk more about what you have to do to get into fixing credit that you have had issues with. So when you have late payments, when you've had derogatory reporting on your credit report, when you have a late payment, a history of late payments, or even a recent late payment. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about what you have to do with judgments and liens. And then we'll also, the next time we'll make sure I talk about bankruptcies and my philosophy around how to handle what your life is going to be like because of that bankruptcy situation. So that's it for today for More Than Mortgages. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I would also really appreciate you giving this a rating, sharing this with your friends if you're finding it useful and valuable. This really is, our goal is for you to be a successful financial operator in the world. We know that you can have financial peace by following a few simple steps. And that's our focus of this podcast. This has been episode number 17. I'm Dave Gallegos. This is More Than Mortgages. Thanks a lot for listening. Have an awesome day.
Thank you for listening to More Than Mortgage with Dave Gallegos, brought to you by Zenith Home Loans. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe anywhere you find podcasts and share this episode with a colleague who would also find value.